Have you ever felt like you're giving everything you have to a relationship, yet somehow it still feels like too much? Maybe you found yourself saying yes to things you're not comfortable with, or letting small issues slide to keep the peace, only to end up feeling drained and resentful. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many people struggle with setting boundaries in relationships, often because they fear conflict or worry about being seen as selfish. But the truth is, healthy boundaries are essential for any relationship to thrive. Boundaries are often misunderstood. They're not about building walls or shutting people out, but rather about creating a space where both partners can feel safe, respected, and understood. Boundaries help define where one person ends and the other begins, ensuring that both individuals maintain their sense of self while nurturing the relationship. I've seen so many people, myself included, get caught up in relationships where the lines between me and we become blurred. At first, it might feel great to be so connected, but over time, without clear boundaries, this can lead to feelings of suffocation, resentment, and even loss of identity. That's why setting and respecting boundaries is crucial. It allows both partners to flourish individually while growing together. So, what exactly does it mean to set boundaries in a relationship? And how can you do it effectively? Today we are going to talk about the importance of boundaries, the signs that you might need to set or strengthen them, and practical steps to establish healthy boundaries in your relationship. Let's start with the basics. What are boundaries in a relationship? Boundaries are the limits we set to protect our emotional and physical well-being. They define what we are comfortable with and how we want to be treated. Healthy boundaries ensure that both partners feel respected and valued, without feeling like their needs or identity are being compromised. However, setting boundaries is often easier said than done. Many of us fear that setting boundaries will push our partner away or that it will lead to conflict. But the reality is, without boundaries, we run the risk of losing ourselves in the relationship, which can lead to far greater problems down the line. Just the other day, I was talking to a friend who was feeling overwhelmed in her relationship. She loved her partner dearly, but she felt like she was always the one compromising. Whether it was about how they spent their weekends, what they ate for dinner, or even how often they communicated throughout the day. Over time, she started to feel resentful, but she didn't want to say anything because she was afraid of causing tension. This conversation made me realize how common it is for people to neglect their own needs in relationships, often out of a desire to keep the peace. But what happens when you're constantly putting your partner's needs above your own? You start to lose touch with your own identity, and the relationship becomes imbalanced. This is where boundaries come into play. They help you maintain a healthy balance between giving and receiving, ensuring that both partners' needs are met. Think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where you agreed to something that made you uncomfortable, just to avoid upsetting your partner? Maybe it was going along with plans you didn't want to be a part of, or saying yes to something when you really wanted to say no. While it might seem harmless in the moment, over time, these small compromises can add up, leading to feelings of frustration and resentment. One of the biggest misconceptions about boundaries is that they're about controlling your partner. But in reality, boundaries are about protecting yourself, your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. They're about making sure that your needs are being respected and that you're not sacrificing your own happiness for the sake of the relationship. So, how do you know if you need to set or strengthen your boundaries? Here are some signs. Feeling drained or resentful. If you constantly feel tired, overwhelmed, or resentful in your relationship, it could be a sign that your boundaries are too loose. You might be giving too much without getting enough in return, or you might be saying yes to things that don't align with your values or desires. Difficulty saying no. If you find it hard to say no to your partner, even when you really want to. This is a clear sign that your boundaries need work. Remember, it's okay to prioritize your own needs and to decline things that don't feel right for you. Lack of personal space. If you feel like you don't have enough time or space for yourself in the relationship, it's important to set boundaries around your personal time. This could mean setting aside time each week for your own hobbies, interests, or simply to recharge. Feeling like you're losing yourself. If you feel like you're losing your sense of self in the relationship, like you're no longer doing the things that make you happy, or you're constantly compromising your own values, it's time to reassess your boundaries. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't love or care for your partner. In fact, it's one of the most loving things you can do for both yourself and your relationship. When you set boundaries, you're showing your partner that you respect yourself and your needs, and you're also giving them the opportunity to do the same. So, how can you start setting healthy boundaries in your relationship? Here are some practical steps. Know your values and needs. The first step in setting boundaries is understanding what's important to you. Take some time to reflect on your values, needs, and non-negotiables. What do you need in a relationship to feel safe, respected, and fulfilled? Knowing this will help you communicate your boundaries more clearly. Communicate clearly and kindly. When setting boundaries, it's important to communicate them clearly and kindly. Use I statements to express your needs, such as I need some time alone each week to recharge, or I feel more comfortable when we discuss major decisions together. This helps prevent your partner from feeling attacked or blamed. Be consistent. Boundaries are only effective if they're consistently upheld. If you set a boundary and then allow it to be crossed, it sends mixed signals to your partner. Be firm in maintaining your boundaries and don't be afraid to remind your partner if necessary. Be open to compromise. While it's important to stand by your boundaries, relationships also require compromise. Be willing to find a middle ground that respects both your needs and your partner's. This doesn't mean sacrificing your boundaries, but rather finding solutions that work for both of you. Seek support if needed. If you're struggling to set boundaries or if your partner isn't respecting them, it might be helpful to seek support from a therapist or counselor. They can provide guidance and help you navigate these conversations in a healthy way. At the end of the day, boundaries are about creating a healthy, balanced relationship where both partners feel respected and valued. They're not about shutting your partner out, but about ensuring that your needs are met so that you can show up as your best self in the relationship. If this information helped you in your situation, please subscribe and feel free to leave a comment.